right, you guys, welcome to the next episode of Spiritual Practices. Today we're going to be talking about solitude and silence. It's a very important spiritual practice. I even have my notes today just to make sure that I'm not going to forget anything that I wanted to say to you about this practice. We're going to focus on solitude particularly. So this episode may be a little bit longer. So, when we talk about solitude, I want to start from differentiating two types of things that we may be talking about. So, solitude as a spiritual practice, it may be actually being alone, right? So, for example, going on a solitude retreat for a day or 2 or 3 days where you are, I don't know, renting a cabin in the woods and you literally are moving away from people, from energy of other people. You are on your own. You don't necessarily have to go to the cabin in the woods. You can close yourself in the comfort of your own home if you live on your own. But it's intentional time frame where you will say, I'm not going to be interacting with anyone. I'm not going to be talking to anyone. I'm not going to be going out. I have everything prepared. I sort of close myself in a cave. So that the physical solitude, right? So that's one thing that we do. And the other aspect of solitude, it's more of what we call the hermiting mode, right? And this is something that when you are on a true journey of spirituality, it will have to happen. If you won't choose it, source will force you to do that at certain point. And the hermit mode is some sort of a solitude, but because it's extended period of time, obviously when we're hermiting, it doesn't mean that we're not going to be talking to anyone or we're not going to see anyone for a month or 2 or 3, because we have to function in this society. This is the world that we live in. But it's reducing the time you spend with other people to literally minimum. So you're going to go to work, but you're going to say no to social chit chats. You're going to say no to grabbing coffee after work. You're going to say no to hanging out with friends as you would normally do. You're going to skip some family meetings. More than anything, you're going to skip on maybe searching for new relationships, whether that's dating and searching for romantical relationships, or searching for new friendships, getting to know new people. You literally limiting the interaction with other people to bare minimum to an extended period of time. So I want to start from listing few things for shadows maybe, so who this is for. So you know that if you struggle with these things, solitude, whether that's the first one, the retreat, or the hermit, I personally recommend both if you struggle with these things. So to start from hermiting, and that's sort of our spiritual journey always starts from hermiting. As we awaken, as certain things start to come into our conscious mind, into our, especially if you have a true Kundalini awakening, it sort of happens. You are in this moment that you don't know what's going on, that you don't even think about being with other people. This is what I've mentioned to you guys, that some tower moments, some situations that our spirit guides sort of a force on us. It's sometimes it comes from this state of overwhelm that we just naturally put ourselves in that hermit mode to figure ourselves out. But we're going to talk about the benefits and the why in a moment. But who would I recommend it to? First category is people who struggle with codependency. So if it was brought to your attention or to your conscious mind that you struggle with codependency, that you tend to form relationships, whether that's romantical relationships or friendships, based on codependency, which basically means that your actions, your decisions, your mood, your state of being depends on how other people treat you, Um, you don't have this strong self sovereignty. You're afraid to be on your own. You're afraid that the mere thought of never having a romantic partner or never having friends scares you to the very core. That's a practice that I would definitely recommend. Second case, I always recommend this practice for people who are exiting a relationship. The moment you exit a relationship, the moment you realize that relationship was a karmic relationship, if you ever want to learn lessons of that relationship, close karmic contract on the level of person, on the level of lesson, and ever be aligned with someone who will be true soul connection, you cannot do that without a period of hermiting, without a period of solitude, to really be with yourself. And again, we're going to move to the whys in a moment. And the third case that I always recommend this practice is if you claim to be on a spiritual journey. If you really want to embark on a journey of spirituality, of releasing the ego, of integrating your shadows, of healing, of understanding who you are, the meaning of life, where you've come from, where you're going, your dharma, your karma, you really want to step into the place of your spirit, connect to your higher self. It is impossible without practicing solitude, because only through solitude we connect to the wholeness of the universe. So healing cannot happen if you're constantly surrounded and constantly focusing on connecting to other people, because the most important relationship that we have to build, and most people forget, is the one that we have with ourselves. And just like we say to people that if you really want to have a quality relationship, whether that's again romantical partner or friend with someone, you cannot have that relationship without quality time, right? So if you start dating someone, we're saying that you have to have a good or you've been dating someone for a long time, you're already in partnership maybe for years. One of the foundations of partnership is quality time. It's a beautiful love language, but it's a must if we want to really connect to another person, not just to exist next to each other even when we live together, but to have quality time that we really listen, that we really communicate, that we really focus on the other person and on our connection. So similarly, when you want to build a relationship with yourself, and that's really the core of spirituality, to rediscover your authentic self, to see your authentic self, to see yourself, to release all the trauma and all the woundings, you have to spend quality time with yourself. So solitude in all shapes or forms that I've mentioned is given on a journey of spirituality. And that hermit mode is something that you're going to be periodically doing. So you're going to be hermiting, then you're going to be working during that hermit period on specific things, and you're going to be getting out there again to test yourself, to test your new self. Death and rebirth happens in hermit mode. And then you're going to do this again and again and again. These are the cycles in this spiral, healing spiral that we always talk about. So let's maybe break down what it really gives you and what are the benefits. There are quite a few things that I've written down, so I want to talk about them all. Solitude definitely helps you with mental clarity. We live in a world that is a constant noise, that constantly invites us to surround ourselves with noise, distractions. Either that's other people, crowds, or many people, they're in a house, they're alone, but they are so anxious about being alone that they have to have the TV on or the radio on, or constantly text someone, or talk to friends, or call to their friends, right? So we're constantly being invited by this world to the noise, to the distractions, and that sort of fogs our mind. So to get that mental clarity, where we are, what we want, who we really are, what's really going on, solitude is a beautiful, beautiful practice. Next thing is what I already mentioned briefly. tapping to your authentic self, right? Because it's the quality time with yourself. So when you are on your own, when you're hermiting, when you are in solitude, when you're spending that time alone, um, you are getting to know you, because there's no one else around. There's no one else to talk to. There's no one else to focus on. You have to focus on you. And this is why I often, when I work with you guys, whatever journey of spirituality you are, I always recommend two things, doing two things. At least one time in your life, a solo travel. So going to, obviously that's not going to be complete solitude, because you can go to a different city, you can go do seasiding, whatever interests you, but a solo travel, proper vacation, at least 5 days of that solo travel, that really helps you to understand you, not focus on what is it that the other person want to do, how do I make this other person happy, how do I follow the leadership of that other person, but me. I am with me. I can do whatever I want. So this is where you actually realize that many people, believe it or not, may not realize their whole life. What is that I like and don't like doing? So many people are sitting in that energy of people pleaser, of a doormat for others. Whatever you want, whether that's your kids or your partner or your friends, whatever you want to do, I don't mind. I just care that we're together. No. Now you're with yourself. Where do you want to go? Is it the beach? Is it a mountain? Is it seaside? Is it a city break? What do you want to do? Do you want to walk around? Do you want to sleep in? Do you want to wake up in the morning? What do you want to do? How do you want to make yourself happy? And it helps us to get to know ourselves. And that second thing that I always recommend is eating on your own in the restaurant. Thing that intimidates many people. I feel less and less these days, but it still intimidates many people. So it definitely helps you to tap into who you really are, get to know you through that quality time with you without any distractions. It also helps when you're working on your self-love and your self-worth, because when you are just with yourself, you have no other way, as we already mentioned, to witness yourself. So we oftentimes focus ourselves on others, and we have that compassion. Oh, poor person, right? They feel so lonely, or this happened to them, or that happened to them in childhood, in previous years. This is what they're going through. And we don't really think about our own wounds, our own traumas, our own blockages between us and that self-love. So when you are with yourself, you start to listen. What is it that I really need? What is it that I have to provide for myself? It's that creating your own universe with yourself, when you start to see you're human. Because the biggest mission in life for our soul is to take care of our human, not to focus on future, not to focus on other people, not to have that grandiose mission of helping others. And no, it's you, it's your human. That's the biggest mission of your life. Your higher self stays there to guide you, and your spirit's biggest mission is to take care of your human, right? So that solitude, removing the distraction for a period of time, really helps you to first understand what self-love really is and self-worth really is, and then to practice that. We've mentioned this already. It helps to release codependency, because you are with yourself. You're not dependent on anyone. Your mood depends on you, right? How you talk to yourself, how you show up for yourself. So it's a very helpful tool to start releasing codependency, amongst other things that you will have to do. Because obviously, if you're codependent, you're going to have to, through shadow work, understand the why, where it comes from, what it means. Many people understands it on a very shallow level, and believe me when I say this, 90% of people on this world are codependent on opinion of others, external world, external opinions, right? Relationships, most people are codependent. So that the solitude also helps to understand that, realize that, and heal that. A very beautiful thing, this is why I recommend it for people who are exiting a relationship, is through solitude you learn to form meaningful relationships, true soul connections. Because most people are trapped in feeling so alone and so miserable and wanting to be around people that they don't even know themselves. And if you don't know yourself, your true authentic self, how on earth you will recognize a soulmate in another? You won't be able to do that because you don't know your true essence, your true frequency. So the more time you spend in solitude, and you must have heard this from certain people that sometimes share their experiences when they were single for many years, and when they focused in that being single on solitude, intentionally being single, not just I'm single because I'm single, but intentionally being single, focusing on healing. They often say, after a certain amount of time of healing, of loving myself, showing up for myself, I am not interested in being with anyone, because suddenly you see that you love yourself enough to really understand that someone would really have to offer something of value and love me in the same way I love myself, and let me love them in the same way I love myself, which means that they would have to be someone that also done that hermiting solitude and inner work and shadow work for me to even consider. Because I no longer have the necessity to be with someone for the sake of being with someone, because I'm no longer afraid to be alone. I no longer reject myself. I love myself. I have the best time with myself. So someone really has to bring something of value, of true spiritual value to the table for me to consider it. And it's actually an amazing thing, because it invites you to start building relationships based on true soul connection, not just romantical ones, but friendships as well. I'm not just surrounded by these friends because I don't have anyone else, and I feel lonely and I don't have anyone to hang out with. No, because I no longer need to hang out with anyone. I hang out with myself. So now the only people that I keep the door open are people who actually resonate with me on a very deep spiritual level. And if you ever want to be a pro in recognizing whether someone is a karmic connection or a true soul connection, again, whether that's friendship or romantic relationship, healing with solitude is a must and is a necessity. It also helps you to build independence and sovereignty. That sort of comes with everything that I've already said. You're strong and empowered in your independent, sovereign self. And believe it or not, it helps you to remove conditioning, because conditioning is a program that unknowingly we enforce in ourselves as well as part of the program. We humans, our ego part of self is submissive to the matrix and to the program. So the more time you spend with yourself, the less you submit yourself to the opinions of others, to the opinions of whatever you hear in the TV and in the news and the newspaper. It's just you in that hermit, in that solitude, and whatever it is in a particular moment. You start to think on your own. And I've mentioned this in one of the previous episodes, that unfortunately the world that we live in, it doesn't teach us to think. It tells us what to think from childhood. And when you are in solitude, when you are hermiting, when you look inwards inside of yourself, where all the answers reside, because this is where your spirit lives, this is how you connect to the wholeness of the universe, you release that conditioning. You start to think independently on your own, coming from a place of sovereign self, coming from a place of love. And to finish this episode, I want to mention as well silence, right? These are things that sometimes are beautifully combined. If you guys watch me, you know, because I've shared this with you, that every now and then I do go on a silent retreat, which obviously combines solitude. You can do this with your partner as well. It's basically taking anywhere from 1 full day to 3 days, where you move away. Again, you can do this in your home, or you can choose cabin in the woods, and you are on your own. Yes, again, you can be with a partner if you choose to, but there's silence. So there's no phone, there's no TV, there's no radio, there's not even singing out loud, there's not even speaking to yourself. There's complete silence. You may hear sounds from the outside, nature, birds, wherever you're going to be, but your throat is completely silent. And to hear any kind of sounds, like I said, no TV, no phone, no radio, nothing. And silence, even if it's something that you're going to do one afternoon to start, right? You come back from work, and that day you're going to do it. It's a beautiful thing, but a day of silence, one day of silence, it's my favorite method to clear your throat chakra. So if you're having any disimbalances in your throat chakra, so it can go both ways. So you're either one of those people that have the tendency to talk too much, maybe to talk about others, maybe to gossip, maybe to, right? That means that there's this imbalance in your throat chakra. But also on the other side, when you are intimidated to speak, our throat chakra connects us to the truth, to express. It's the expression. Balanced throat chakra allows us to express our inner truth. Obviously we have to know our inner truth, and in order to know our inner truth, we go back to the journey of solitude and a journey of healing. But once you know that inner truth, sometimes we struggle to really express it, to connect the throat to the heart, and very important connection, the throat to the solar plexus, and express our truth freely. So silence is a beautiful way, and that silent retreat is a beautiful way to clear your throat, to balance your throat. It is also an incredible tool for connection to the divine, connection to the universe, mindfulness, presence, patience. You would be surprised. It sounds like something so easy, but believe me, it is not. First time you do it, a full day of silence, again, no TV, no music, not even speaking to yourself. You have to be very mindful, because if you're someone like, I constantly speak to, and it's not myself, it's my spirit guides, right? But I constantly, around the house, I speak out loud. So sometimes you do this automatically. You think of something and you speak it out loud, and then you hear a voice like, no, silence. So you have to be very mindful. Beautiful practice. And if you decide to do it with your partner, as well, if you are in a beautiful connection that is a soul connection, true soul connection, if you decide to do this practice with your partner, it can also be beautiful, because it teaches us non-verbal communication, just to be with each other present. So many people say that they have a beautiful connection with someone, but if you're not able to be in a complete silence with someone and just feel into their energy, something is really off when we feel uncomfortable. So it's a beautiful practice for couples as well, to decide to spend that day when we're not going to be speaking to each other, when we're not going to be, again, TV, music, phones, nothing. We're just going to be. And it really helps you to feel into the energy of another person, to be more receptive towards the signals that they're sending through, again, nonverbal communication, and also feel into the energy of their body, their energy body. If you truly have a beautiful connection with someone, it is great to as well practice telepathy, and that mind to mind and soul to soul connection. All right, I hope this was helpful, and I will see you tomorrow for our next episode.